Believe nothing, no matter where you have read it or who has said it, not even if I have said it, unless it agrees with your own reason and your own common sense. Buddha. What you are about to embark upon is unlike anything else that you've ever experienced. We will set about on a journey that will take us through history and challenge everything that you've ever learned. The reason why this is going to be very different from any other educational experience that you've ever had is that I'm going to insist that you question and critically think about the information I am presenting to you. Do not accept anything I say unless you can confirm it and that it resonates with something in your soul. There, you will begin to become totally free. I do not claim to have all the answers, but I do seek to ask all of the questions. My hope for this project is that it becomes the intellectual foundation for a new era of humanity. We can reject the paradigm that is built on spreading debt and death. We can set about creating a new paradigm where people are free to play on a level playing field for all to rise to their highest and best selves. I have been influenced by many, and I do not claim to be the originator of most of the ideas I present to you. My unique ability is to bring together the big picture for all to see. The truth is that humanity has been enslaved over and over again throughout history, and that we can be free the moment we wish to be. This journey will be a dangerous one, in which if I'm successful, will result in your old self dying, so that a new, totally free person can be born. All know the way, but few actually walk it. I have gone through this journey of awakening. I have lived a life of individual opulence, and I have lived a life of collective poverty. I now see the middle path very clearly, and it has led me to my highest and best self. This is without a doubt a life-changing experience, and if enough people grasp the concepts that I present, it could lead to a new era of humanity where freedom rings. Once you are aware of how the world really works, you will no longer be played the fool in your relationships, investments, and thoughts. I have seen that those that are most successful in life are not necessarily the smartest or hardest working individuals. For the most part, they were just in the right place at the right time. This project seeks to give you absolute clarity to take massive action in your life to prepare for the greatest paradigm shift in human history, the mathematically inevitable collapse of the dollar. This is not simply an American struggle. This is a struggle for all of humanity. And I want to be absolutely clear. I do not just want to scare you and feed you full of doom and gloom. There is a way out, and I would not bring you on this journey if I had not made it through myself. If I could leave you with one piece of advice before we continue on, it is something I came up with that helped me tremendously throughout my own journey. Listen to all, follow none. You cannot solve a problem from the same consciousness that created it. You must learn to see the world anew. Think about all that is wrong with the world today. Massive debts, endless wars, encroaching government power, too big to fails, systemic unemployment, and a general sense of fear and depression. You cannot solve these problems with the same consciousness as the ones that created this mess. You cannot cure a debt problem with more debt, restructured debt, or bailouts. You cannot solve war with more war, cyber war, proxy wars, or covert wars. You cannot control the power of the government with new politicians, laws, or lobbying. You cannot solve unemployment with more funding for education, more regulations, or strikes. In order to solve these and all other problems that plague our society, you need to create another consciousness. The men that own and control our world know that so long as humanity either actively or passively has the same consciousness as them, their power is secured. They know that as long as humanity remains short-sighted, narcissistic, meddling little people searching for instant gratification, those at the top have nothing to worry about. It is only when we become caring, logical, and independent people with the opposite consciousness that we can effect real change upon this world. Think of when you were a teenager trying to establish your independence. You might have huffed and puffed around the house to get what you wanted, and depending on what kind of parent you had, that might have worked. When you think about it, you didn't really want a car or to stay out late as much as you wanted your independence from your parents' paradigm, to do what you wanted to do, to make your own mistakes, to be free from others controlling you. This is what we want in all of humanity. To live our lives, to love who we want to love, to do what we want to do without others interfering in our lives. Most teenage rebellion is misguided and often never really results in any true freedom, since they never change the consciousness of the dependent state. And parents never solve the problem by not changing the consciousness from the controlling state. Even the most well-intentioned parent really has no clue of what will make their child happy. So why bother trying to control them? As long as they're not in mortal danger, parents should just let go. The child can only begin to find out what will make them happy by following their passions independent of their parents. Slamming the door, yelling, or the quiet treatment will not result in you gaining any real power. The only way for you to gain true freedom of your parents is to become independent of them, to think and provide for yourself without their help or even approval. That is what becoming an adult is all about. Your parents probably did not respect you as an adult until you acted independently from them. Even that might not do it. But regardless if your parents respect you for your independence, you know that you can survive and thrive outside of their paradigm, and all of their attempts to control your life are now rendered useless. Some parents might still try to control you, but they usually get relegated to holidays and only in a symbolic fashion, because you know you don't have to listen to them anymore. Don't believe them, don't fear them, don't ask anything of them. Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Think about what you are really upset about in the world today. It could be war, taxes, the government encroachment on our privacy, or whatever. You'll waste time hacking at the branches and not the root of the problem. What you really want is your freedom and independence and to be left alone. The fundamental reason why any formalized group effort like Occupy Wall Street or the Tea Party will fail is that it is a collective effort against a collective problem, one of the same consciousness. You cannot beg for power. You need to be independent of power. Sending good people in to reform a state is like sending virgins in to reform a whorehouse. Anonymous. The game is rigged, and nothing will change with elections, protests, editorials, Occupy movements, or tea parties. They are important, but they will not change the system. The boomers tried to rebel in the 60s against all that was wrong in the world.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart, that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
They lack the mature wisdom to guide them to the root of their problems and to become a real threat to those that seek to control them. If you want to become a real threat to the system, act independently of the system. This is essentially what a responsible citizen must do to a repressive government. Slamming your door at your parents' house is the same as a million-man march. You think it is a show of power, but those that are in charge think it's a cute but meaningless exertion of power and do not fear it in the least. Let them march all they want, so long as they pay their taxes. Alexander Haig. You must physically, financially, politically, intellectually, emotionally, and even spiritually remove yourself from their control. The most potent weapon of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. Stephen Biko. You cannot change the world to make yourself happy or free. You must change yourself to make the world happy and free. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. As long as humanity believes that they can change the world to make themselves happy or free, we will continue to fall into this trap over and over again, generation after generation. It is insanity to think that you can change the world to make yourself happy or free. You can't do it on a personal level, and you certainly cannot do it on a national or a global level. Think about your own family. You share the same race, religion, education, and so on, yet there's constant disagreement. I can't even control my 3-year-old son. So what makes us think that we can somehow change the world with 7 billion people with different outlooks and motives on life? No matter what you try to do to affect change in the world, you inevitably run across others who do not share your same vision. And because they come from different experiences, education, and awareness as you are, they will naturally become an opposite force. They will naturally push against any effort you have, and this ultimately devolves into a middle-of-the-road solution that leaves no real change, a lot of wasted time, energy, and money. This also gives power to the parasitical middlemen that manipulate both sides to their advantage. True independence can only come from within. We knew this on some level when we were teenagers, but we fell for what the world and our masters offered as freedom. College degrees, big houses, fast cars, consumer products, shallow relationships, or gurus. This inevitably leads to debt, frustration, and an empty hole in our lives, which we usually do not fully realize until we are way past our prime, wasting the best part of our life. The only thing in the world that you really can control is you. So stop trying to change others. Be the change that you want to be in the world. It is very important to know that we also have no right to enforce our version of freedom and happiness onto others. No matter how much you feel you are right, people must come to their own decisions on their own terms and timetable. When we focus our time, energy, and money on working on our own personal freedom, we will not only see real effective change, we will show the way for millions of others to follow. When you are truly free, you'll be strong, happy, and independently powerful. Your power does not come at the expense of others or control of others, and therefore cannot be stopped. True generational wealth is when you can learn how to become totally free and pass that freedom on to others.